powerful swords. But the fire had power over them. Many of us really understand the power of fire at a young age when we touch something that's hot. And we realize that when we burn our hands, that fire has some power over our body because we can be burned. It is stronger than we are because we are human. We are human. And we have this ability to die, and that fire is dangerous to us. But it said that this fire, God was in the middle of it with them, and God was helping them, and that fire had no power over them. God has control of the situation, and the enemy has no power over you. You might be going through a test right now, you might be going through a burden, you might be going through a sickness. But God says, if you're really truly mine, it's a test that I'm putting you through, and I'm in control. Your enemies, they don't have any power over you. Your enemies have no control over you. No power. No power at all. Romans 8:31-30 says this, what shall we say then? Two things. If God be for us, who can be against us? He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything to charge of us? It is God that justifies. Who is he that condemned? It is Christ that died, right? That is risen again. Who is even at the right hand of God, who also made an intercession for us? Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? As it is written, for they, I say, we are killed all day long. We're counted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. Nothing. When God is in nothing separated us from God. Nothing has power over us. If God is for us, nothing can be against us. Nothing. God is controlled. And he has no power over you. The enemy cannot stand against you. The enemy cannot put his hand on you. When Job was going through his test, we remember Job, that the devil came before God and had to ask God's permission to touch Job. And that's how it is in your life. When you go through a test, if this is the devil trying to touch you, you got to get God's permission. You got to go to God. The enemy has no power over you that God has not given. Nothing can be against us when we're on God's side. The enemy has no power over you. Persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is Christ Jesus our Lord. The enemy has no power. The eighth thing, God takes care of all the details. There's some details about this fire. Some things that didn't take place that would normally take place, and God would make sure that you knew that this was a miracle. He said, I'm going to take care of the details. I'm going to take care of every little detail of your life. I'm going to make sure that every little detail is taken care of. That you know I'm in control. I'm not going to leave anything out. I'm going to cut corners. I'm going to be detailed in how I make trial pass through. Everything to be set in place the way I want it. And in verse 27, God took some details. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose body fire had no power, nor was a hair on their head singed, neither were the coats changed, the smell of fire had passed on them. That is amazing. I've been to bonfires, and when I come home from a bonfire, I roast my s'mores, and I love me some s'mores. And I went to my bonfire, and I come back to the house, I smell like smoke. I didn't get in the fire. I just stood around it, and I smell like smoke. I go outside on my patio, and I cook my grill, and I cook some hamburgers and hot on my grill, and I go back inside. I smell like smoke. I smell like I've been grilling. But God took care of some details here. He said that I'm not going to let you have your hair singed. I'm not going to let your clothes be burnt. Their coats were not changed. And I'm not even going to smell of smoke even beyond you. God takes care of the details. The miraculous happened. God took care of the details. No smoke. You imagine how amazing that is. And in your trial and your circumstances, God's going to take care of you the same way. The same way that He took care of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, He's going to do the same for you. All the details. My wife, she prays very detailed. God is very detailed. There are 3 times in our life God is giving a car, a free car. Someone just said, here, God told me to give you this car. And the first time was a blessing, and a new car, we got one. And we started praying that this would happen. And when John was very little, he was coming to the summer and car didn't have air conditioning. It was in our early years, and we didn't have enough money to get a new car. And so we started praying, God, just give us the ability to get a new car. Give us the ability. Just give us a car with air conditioning. The sun's coming. The summer's coming. It's going to be hot. Please give us a car with air conditioning. And someone came by our house and dropped off the car and said, Jesus told me to do this. Here's the keys. He signed the title over us, and it was a car, and it had air conditioning. It was a little Ford, a green Plymouth Breeze. And it was a great car. Had air conditioning, and we made it through that summer and took trips on it. And it was a great car. And God took care of the detail. He said air conditioning. He gave us air conditioning. Also, in that same story, we had been saving some money. And we should have a yard sale. The car was given to us at the yard sale. And the amazing thing is we had raised some money enough to go purchase a car. And God said, no, let me take care of a detail here. You prayed for a car. You couldn't afford a car. But what I'm going to do is you save this money for a car. I'm going to give you a car. And I'm going to let you do something just wonderful with that money. And I was able to actually take the money that we had saved and I was able to pay off credit cards. I was like, that's amazing. Not to be debt-free anymore. And I haven't any debt since other than my house. And it's just been amazing that God was able to do that for me. God takes care of the details. Some of us that we don't even know. The second time I prayed for a car, my wife said, I want a truck. I want some family vehicle that has air conditioning and there's be a family vehicle. And sure enough, we're our second child, and someone said, here, I've been feeling like God has told me to do this. And we were given another car, and it was she would see you come. You can't get more family than that. 4-door and feet sit 5, and hold strollers back. God bless. It was a detailed prayer. God is detailed. God is detailed. Not even a smell of smoke. It's so amazing as many times in the front smoke. Always knowing smoke when you're on fire. But God said, no, not in this case. This is the one time that I heard. The ninth thing that we find in this story is that God always receives the glory in the end. He always receives glory. In verse 29 it says, therefore I make a decree, that every people, nation, and language speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after the sword. Nebuchadnezzar, his eyes have been opened to what God had did, and his eyes being opened, he said, I'm going to make a decree. The first decree I made was wrong. You don't need to worship me. You need to worship God, this God that can save out of fire. Not me, not my image, not my idol. You need to worship God. But what he had meant to worship man, God had turned it around to worship him. What he had mentioned to worship God, God turned it around to worship him. God gets all the glory in the end. God gets all the glory. Because God always blesses those who do his will. In verse 30 says, the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. They had already given a high position, had already been given this high place in the land. But then God said, all right, I'm going to promote you. You went through this trial, this test, and you passed with flying colors. I'm going to bless you more. God always blesses those that do his will. Hananiah comes in here. Yahweh is gracious. He was gracious to them in the beginning by opening the land. And then he's gracious again here at the end after they went through the test. He says, I'm going to promote you, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I'm going to make your position higher. Yahweh is very gracious. He is very gracious to us. And he's always looking out for us. You don't have to trust in what man says about you. You don't have to take what other people say, the names that they give you. Because God has given you a great name. Man said that Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah would be worshippers of false gods like Nego and the moon god. However, God said that he would be gracious to them, that he would fill their life with blessings, and that he would make them feel like their life was borrowed, loaned, and that God would help them. This is what God said about them. Man said, we want you to worship other gods. We don't want you to worship your God. But God said, I'm going to be gracious to you. I'm going to prove to you that your life is borrowed. You feel that way.